Ulonkata bati yada tó yẹ kó máa da ifá. Inú tó yẹ kó jẹun ló fi bí pa. Ọba tálá, ọba takuntakun. Ṣàngó, Èṣù, Ògún, Ọya, Ọ̀ṣun. Ìwọ ló ń bọ̀ nílé. Kí ni ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ tán ṣe nílé yìí o? Ó jẹ́ lọ jára rẹ̀.
Lafia, peace and blessings, fam. Welcome to another episode of the African Spirituality Experience. I am your host, Orisha Bami. What's good with y'all, family? I've been talking to y'all about this one for a minute, man. I've been dropping little tidbits and little hints about sharing this one as far as the watch party. But very powerful interview. I think the very first time I ever saw Professor Kaba was in South Carolina. I want to say that was like maybe 2015 or 16 was the very first time I ever seen him in a live presentation. At the time, I was just there as a spectator, just watching greatness, man. And I did get the opportunity to talk to him, and he was just as humble then, as he is now, as far as like the love, the warm, welcoming spirit, that he personifies. He was all that then, and he still is now. So very powerful experience to have that one. And then one that I've been talking to y'all about, that was in Miami, I want to say 2019, because that one came about. I had wrote my children's book. For those of you who have been on the channel, who've been following the tribe for a minute, y'all would probably know about the book Starseeds, The Children of the Ancients. This is it right here, man. So this was the book that that interview centered around. And so Professor Kaba inspired the book, based off of his knowledge and his in-depth historical references that he was able to convey throughout a presentation that he did in London. I'm sure what year that presentation was recorded or when he actually did that one, but it was very powerful. And what it did, it sent me down that rabbit hole, kind of like Neo chasing that rabbit Matrix, when you seen in the very beginning when the lady had the little tattoo that appeared on her neck, and then he couldn't stop chasing it to see where that hole was going to lead him to. So that's kind of what studying and researching the Dogon Tribe and the Sirius star system did for me, so much so that I feel like it was a divine download that a children's book came out of it. So it's definitely a thing full circle, considering how that was my start interviewing somebody who had already achieved the worldwide notoriety that he has as far as people who are in the education space. He's definitely a Hall of Fame educator. In my book, one of my favorite teachers as far as that I've been able to actually work with. But with that, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead into it. I need to do my own research. I know I went out and bought the Sirius Mystery book, and that really opened my eyes up to a whole nother level of how deep the story was, but how much proof and how much actual information that went into writing that book that tied into what you were teaching in that lecture. Main focal aspects of the Dogon Tribe that you feel like people, especially of melanated descent, should know about in terms of our history and the history behind that story.
Well, first, brother, I congratulate you on your book, Starseeds. It's a phenomenal piece of work, brother.
Appreciate it.
And like we were talking about the vocabulary and the way in which the book is structured, this is really a great book to bring into the classroom setting, along in our home libraries. But it would also be a good piece to use in our schools. It would fit right into the 3rd grade curriculum and the 5th grade curriculum, even the 6th grade curriculum. And so these things could be adapted in our classrooms where children could learn about the Dogon. What's interesting is that my first exposure to Dogon, my first conceptual framework to ever know that these men and women existed, believe it or not, was from George Clinton and Parliament Funkadelic. Mothership Connection, okay? And I remember in Washington, D.C., man, 1978, I went to a 17-hour concert in D.C. 17 hours, man. And it was George Clinton, it was Bootsy, it was the Brides of Funkenstein, even that little man got up on the stage in a diaper, And the opening of George Clinton was the spaceship coming down onto the stage.
That's what's up.
It was in Robert F. Kennedy Stadium, man, in the spring or the summer of 1978, man. My second exposure to the Dogon came in the 70s with a book that was put together by Ivan Van Sertima. It's called Blacks in Science. I think it was the 80s.
Okay.
There's an essay in there by Hunter Haviland Adams that talked about these Dogon people. And I had been doing work on the Shabaka stone. And as I read the Dogon, the Shabaka stone being the version of the Kemetic or the Egyptian origin of the universe. However, as I was reading the Dogon philosophy, as I was reading work on the Dogon, because then I went out and got The Pale Fox, and I got Conversations with Olga Tameli. So these are the 4 structured books that I use to get research on the Dogon.
Gotcha.
And so I began to see the correlation between the Dogon and the Kemites, the Dogon and the Egyptians. Then I began to look at the work of Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop, who talks about the movement of peoples that are going from the Nile Valley into West Africa. So I'm beginning to realize, wait a minute, there's a connection here. And what the Dogon did is they actually took the Kemetic legacy of the cosmic reality and brought it to the next level. They refined it. They tuned it so that what was a metaphor on one level got deeply science in another. And so when you're looking at the Dogon, one of the things about the Dogon, everybody wants to talk about, well, how did they see this star?
Right.
The Sirius system, Sirius A, Sirius B.
Right.
Sirius B is an invisible star. Dogon call it Kizi Uzi, the littlest of things, or Bo Tolo, which is, Tolo means star, Bo is a seed that's grown. It's the smallest seed grain that the Dogon grow. So they liken Bo, or that grain, to the star, the littlest star.
Okay.
Bo Tolo, or Kizi Uzi, is an invisible star that rotates around Sirius A, the brightest star in the heavens, particularly in the December and the winter months of the northern skies. What you're looking at in terms of the Dogon is that they understood something astronomical that very few people, it wasn't until the middle of the 1800s that Europe even realized that there was something. They didn't know it. They didn't see it until 1971 from a laboratory telescope. And so, like what most people do when they come upon an African community that they perceive to be not as advanced, they start wondering, well, how could they have seen this if they didn't have a telescope? But there's something that when you look at science and the potential of the human being is that there's something known as a night eye. And the reason why I know that is because I'm a night eye. I operate at night. I see better in the dark than I see in the light. Okay? My father was a night eye. My grandfather worked on the railroads of the South at night. So I come from a long tradition of male night eyes. I didn't realize I was a night eye really until I retired from the Board of Ed when I could arrange my own schedule.
Gotcha.
The night eye is such that when you look at the human eye, when you're in the light, your iris, the middle of your eye, reduces itself to 1/4 the size of your eye. That's what allows light to come in. It's like when you shut the lights out and then you put them on, you have to close your eyes.
Right. Squint.
You have to squint because your eye has to reduce itself down to the 1/4 size. Because it literally grows in the dark to full. It's your whole eye. So literally, what the Dogon did, there were families that only existed at night. The astronomers only existed at night.
Right.
They never saw the light. They lived up in the cliffs. They would go inside the cliffs or the caves, and there was no light.
Right.
At nighttime, when they came out, their eye had opened up.
Wow.
So their eye was the telescope. See, the telescope is based on the human eye.
Right.
That's what makes the telescope so powerful.
Right.
However, Western civilization depends on telescopes and machines so much, they don't see the human potential. Whereas the Dogon people, even the Kemetic scholars, the astronomers, didn't need telescope. Their eyes were the telescope. That's not to say that they didn't have telescopes, but their eye was a telescope. And so that's how they could see this little star that rotated around this larger star because it wobbled. And they said something's going to be making that star wobble. And so it's the gravitational attraction. And so the Dogon basically believed that just as our planet revolves around the sun, our solar system revolves around Potolo. That's our seed for our, if you want to call it a galaxy, or if you want to call it a cluster, whatever it is, that is what everything rotates around. Potolo rotates around something larger. That larger piece rotates around something. And so what's happening is that there's a dance. There's a cosmic dance that's going on. And every 60 years, the Dogon had a ceremony called the Sigi Ceremony.
Yeah, that's what I want to talk about.
Every 60 years. However, the rotation is every 50 years. But they have a celebration where they will create a Kanaga mask. One mask. That Kanaga mask is used in the celebration every 60 years. when Marcel Griol and Dieter Lean, who were the two anthropologists and scientists that lived with the Dogon, went in and talked to them and began to realize the Dogon brought them into a room. And they put a mask on the chair. Because for every Kanaga mask that was created, they had a chair.
And that's every 60 years now, because I know where you're going
Every
with
60 years. That's right. Every 60 years. In that room, there was 12 chairs with 12 masks. Now, you multiply 60 times 12, and it comes up to 720, give or take. Which takes you back to the Malinke Empire. I mean, if we work the math real quick, 12 times 60, okay, 20, okay? And so that means that that room put the first mask in 720 years before that date. Which takes this ceremony back to the Malinke Empire. That's powerful, isn't it?
Very powerful. And see, that's why.
That's real powerful. But we ain't finished yet. Dogon told them we have 2 more rooms with 12 chairs.
So now you got 720 years.
Times 3.
Times 3.
Okay.
And they got 2 more rooms with 12 masks.
Well, that becomes important to understand certain things about who Dogon were and how long they had this information.
So now, in terms of who they were and how long they had the information, based off of mathematics, we're talking about 2,160 years that they have been tracking this ceremony.
That they have been tracking this ceremony, and now you have to figure out how did they know the cycle in order to study it for so long.
Right.
So now you're going back thousands of years, which is telling you is that there were civilizations in West Africa at the same time that our ancestors, the Kemites, were building pyramids in Egypt.
Yeah. So,
see, we don't know our history.
Right.
And because we have bought the bill of goods that people tell us about our inferiority and insecurity and the things that we don't know and what we cannot do and our primitiveness and people, leaders of the world are calling our countries S-holes and all the rest of that.
Right.
We don't understand how really great we are, and our children are suffering from it. So this is why Starseeds becomes so important.
Absolutely.
Because it exposes the children to another view of who they are as a people and what their potential is. You see? And in so doing, it develops an understanding of your potential and what you can do. And these were the Dogon. But let's not get lost, because cousins to the Dogon, you have the Bambara, you have the Miankara, okay? You have the Boso. And all of them had the same type of philosophy.
Wow.
The reason why we get caught up in the Dogon the way we do is because peoples of European descent went to live with the Dogon. Had they lived with the Bozo, they would have told the story about the Bozo.
Gotcha.
If they had told the story, if they lived with the Miankara, they would have been telling the story about the Miankara. The reason why the Dogon stand out so much is because there were people in Western civilization that lived with them and studied them. Blessings on them. Thank you for doing that. But as an African, I know there's more to me than just that.
Absolutely.
But now I can take you to Nigeria, and I can show you equally powerful cosmological stories. I then can take you to the granddaddy of all the cosmological stories, into the Congo, with Dr. Fukia that talks about the Congolese cosmology. That's where all the cosmologies came from.
Right.
So that it becomes important for us as a people, as we're developing our history and we're telling these stories. The Dogon we can focus on because there is accurate writings on the Dogon that allow us to go back scientifically to make this understanding.
Right.
But we are not to get lost in just the Dogon. We have to understand, just like Dr. Clark used to always teach us, all of Africa was great.
Absolutely.
Don't take just what they do and highlight who they hold great.
Right.
Understand all of them were doing this. And you can see the Bambara. Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop, Civilizational Barbarism, talks about the cosmology of the Bambara. He outlines this. So that, and there is a cultural unity in Africa. Just like I told you, the Dogon and the Shabaka stone had a similar story. The same is true when you go to Nigeria. The same is true when you go to South Africa. There is something known as the Adams calendar. That is what Africans did, and they developed that in Zimbabwe and in Southern Africa. And that goes back thousands of years.
Wow.
contemporary with the pyramid builders.
Right.
In fact, it goes beyond the pyramid builders. So that as we begin this story and we understand who we are as a people, we have to understand how great we are.
Right.
And we have to give this message to our children.
Absolutely. And one other thing too about the Dogon that I remember from the presentation, there were 4 principles that I believe they spoke on. I can't remember verbatim, I'm sure you probably do. It was the vision from the front, the vision from the side, the vision from the back, and I believe it was the vision from up top or from within?
Within.
So what were the Boloso?
Jidiso was the first.
Okay, Jidiso.
Jidiso is the front word.
Okay.
Then, and that's the point, that's what you're looking at. That is the superficial word. That is the word on the front.
Okay.
That's what you see. But now all of a sudden, you grow. And from Jidiso, you go to Beniso. Beniso is the peripheral vision, the 180 degrees. Then you go to Boloso, which now comes back around, is the word that you cannot see, but because you see the side word, you can interpret the back word. Boloso. And then it goes deep inside and comes within you, and you have Sodai. And Sodai is the clear word. It's the inside word. It's the elder's word. In Kemet, you had the same concept, but you only had 3 stages, where the Dogon had 4.
Gotcha.
In Kemet, you had the initiate, you then had the apprentice, and then you had the son of light. Now, in the Congolese cosmology, you have the 7 points of light, which is all forms of knowledge and wisdom that's coming to you at one time. You have the word front, back, left side, right side, up, down, and in. The 7 points of light, which represents what we call the prana aura, which is on the outside, and the chakra systems, which are on the inside.
Right.
And just like you vibrate your chakras on the inside, you also vibrate your prana auras on the outside. And they are your protective forces that protect you, your prana aura. And this is why you have to have a pure heart. You have to vibrate at a certain level, and the internal chakra system also controls what happens on the prana aura on the outside. So that you know when people are selling you wolf tickets, or if they make you feel insecure or inferior, you have a golden glow around you that protects you. It is an aura that protects you from any harm coming in.
Wow.
But the moment you get negative, this is why we have to be careful. You have to be careful what you throw out.
Right.
You have to be careful even if you wish someone who has not done you right misfortune. You have to be careful, because the cosmos will make that bounce off them and come back on you.
Karma.
Okay, it will come back on you. So therefore, let the ancestors and the Creator deal with them.
Absolutely.
You just do your thing.
Right.
And don't wish other people bad, because even if they deserve it, you initiating a negative vibration, you are weakening your aura. And it's very porous. It can open up. And there are forces of negativity that are surrounding you because they want to get inside. They don't want you to be able to do your thing. So when it becomes porous and it opens up, all of a sudden those negative forces can come in. And the more you let them in, the wider they make the pores. And pretty soon you start opening up, and then all of the negativity is going to be coming at you at one time.
I love that. And what happened is I went through a lot of tough times like we all do in life. I changed my mindset to a positive mindset. And I talk about how important that is in the book, because when you vibrate and operate with a positive mindset, you use the law of attraction. And you attract positive things into your life and people into your life. And I feel like had I not transformed my life from thinking negative to shifting to positivity, I wouldn't be sitting here with you right now. So I can resonate with that on so many different levels when you talk about how important and powerful it is to be positive and use that positive energy. Because I talk about this in Starseed as well, melanin. But I studied several different books that I've learned from you, from Dr. Richard King, the book Melanin. He talks about melanin quite a bit in that book as well. How important is melanin to us, who we are, what we do, and what we're capable of?
Melanin is a molecule. Dr. Sebi, who I spent a great deal of time, I've been going to Dr. Sebi since 1988. Dr. Sebi always said, y'all are getting caught up in melanin, but you got to get caught up in carbon. Melanin has its important, but what makes melanin black is carbon. Carbon is an atom. It is number 6 on the periodic table of elements. It has 6 neutrons, 6 protons, and 6 electrons. So when people are trying to keep us away from thinking that the 666 is a demonic number, it's because they know if you knew what 666 was. So they keep you away from knowing who you are. Carbon, there are 4 different atoms that are very important. There's basically others also, but the 4 major ones is nitrogen, hydrogen, oxygen, and carbon. John G. Jackson talks about this in his books. You can only, when it comes to nitrogen, hydrogen, and oxygen, you can only combine no more than 3 atoms together. You can take 2 parts hydrogen, 1 part oxygen, H2O, that's water. 2 parts hydrogen, 2 parts oxygen, you have hydrogen, hydrogen peroxide, okay? When you introduce carbon, carbon is what makes the billions of molecules that exist. It's the cosmic glue. Out of the carbon atom, you then have something known as melanosomes. Melanosomes are granules that do work. Melanosomes are contained within melanocytes, which is the cell of melanin. Okay? Carbon atom, melanosome granule, melanocyte cell. Melanin is the mothership connection. That's what makes everything come together. So even if there was life in outer space, it would have to be black. Because the only reason why we are depigmented on the earth with the Eurasians is because melanated people was impacted by the Ice Age. They are not of the cosmos. We are star people.
Star seeds.
Star seeds. That's right. That's why I said the name of the book has its place in terms of how it plays out on all of this thing. This is the seed that grew, just the poltolo, the littlest seed. Okay? And so melanin as a molecule, we find it in various parts of our body. We have skin melanin, but your skin is an organ. When you go inside your body, skin melanin is part of the process that's known as eumelanin. E-U-M-E-L-A-N-I-N. Melanin in the internal part of your body, without it in your heart it wouldn't beat, without it in your blood system it wouldn't circulate, without it in your respiratory you couldn't hear. Wow. And then you have neuromelanin, which is melanin in the brain, which is in the darkness of the brain. When a human, well, I'll use humans, but animals too, when they're first born, it's known as a blastula. There are 3 parts of the blast. When daddy's sperm enters into mother's egg and fertilizes the egg, the blastula has 3 parts to it. It has an ectoderm, the outside layer. It has a mesoderm, the middle layer, and an endoderm, which is in the internal layer. In the ectoderm on the outside, within a couple of hours, it turns in on the cell. That is where the brain comes from. That is where the spinal cord comes from. And along the spinal cord, all of the different organs and glands are then developed in deep black melanin.
So all this takes place inside the womb?
All inside the womb within the first 27 hours of conception.
Melanin is a powerful tool.
It is the mothership connection.
Wow.
There's melanin in water. There's melanin in the earth. Everything that has come together that we are aware of in the cosmos, melanin is dark matter. Melanin is dark energy. And the relationship between matter and energy, matter is only the codification of energy. There's more energy than there is matter.
Right.
And what happens is that when all of this comes together, it literally brings together and creates all the things that exist within the cosmos. But on our planet, plants were born to be green. This is what Richard King said at the presentation back in the 80s. When I was first exposed to him, 1981, he came to New York. First World Alliance did a presentation. I had never heard the word melanin before. I was a kindergarten teacher.
Wow.
Never heard the word melanin before. he noticed that there were other brothers and sisters in the audience that didn't understand it either. He said, okay, brothers and sisters, okay. I'm going to tell it to you like this.
Right.
If you can understand plant photosynthesis, you can understand human photosynthesis.
Right.
Because chlorophyll is to the plant as melanin is to the human.
Mm.
The chloroplast, which is the chlorophyllin cell, is to the plant as the melanocyte is to melanin. And that opened up the doors for me to understand.
That's the
Because I taught photosynthesis to my kindergarten children.
Right.
Get little milk cans, get a little dirt, put seed in there, grow it up for a couple of days. That was part of science.
Right.
So I understood that.
Mm. Yeah, that's deep.
And once I was able to make that comparison, then I understood. And I went out and I got a Xerox copy. I went to the back of the auditorium and I bought Black Dot 1, Black Dot 2, which was 2 Xerox copies, which would later become 2 of the chapters in the African Origins of Biological Psychiatry.
Mm.
But this was before that book was out.
Right.
So I went and bought that, I put it away. And then I went and I began a series on photosynthesis with my kindergarten children.
Wow.
The whole time making the analogy to learn about the stomata and the phlegm and the phlegms and all the different, the leaf and all the rest, because I was going to make a crossover into melanin, because he said if you understand plant photosynthesis,
Right.
you can understand human photosynthesis, but I had to first master what I knew before I could go to where I didn't quite know.
Mm. I got you.
And so I began to understand what exactly was going on in terms of what melanin was.
Mm.
And as you begin the development of this study, and you begin to develop exactly who we are, you begin to understand that is why we are microcosmos.
Mm.
It becomes important for us to understand that when you look at the cosmos,
Right.
we are the mediator of the cosmic reality. We have billions of atoms in our body, billions and billions of atoms.
Mm-hmm.
An atom is to the human as the human is to the universe.
Wow. That's crazy.
Billions of cells that have atoms that make us who we are,
Mm-hmm.
we are like microcosms of the macrocosm, but we are the macrocosm of the quantum world.
Mm.
That's melanin.
Mm.
It's in every part of your body. If you didn't have it, you would be blind in
Right.
your eye. And it becomes important that we find it in everything that we do. That is why Dr. Sebi, Sister Ma'a, his wife now, who now I go to, tell you that you must bring into your system carbon-based foods.
Mm. What are some carbon-based foods, for those who don't know, that you would recommend to enhance
Well,
melanin?
Well, of course, the biominerals.
Okay.
Okay, a mineral diet for one thing. Okay, but also green things. You see, Dr. Sebi would tell you, you're not hungry for
Right.
food.
Right.
Your cells are craving oxygen.
Mm.
That's what makes you feel hungry.
Mm.
So that's why when you go out, you buy food that's not healthy for you, you could be hungry in an hour.
Right.
Because actually what you did by eating that poison, you actually suffocated more cells, and now you're more hungry.
Wow.
That's why you drink water
Yep.
before you eat, about a half hour before. Because when you drink water before you eat, you are drinking oxygen, H2O. That's why you always have a salad with your meal, green, because plants give off oxygen.
Right.
So it becomes important that we understand the balance of our diets. Another thing is, only eat 85% of your hunger.
Mm.
Always walk away from the table when you're still 15% hungry.
Gotcha.
Don't eat until itis sets in.
Right, right.
Where people be looking at you, you falling asleep.
Right.
Okay, you should always be able to get up and walk away.
Gotcha.
That's when you eat 85%. But be careful what you put on your plate.
Mm. I love it. I know we spoke about earlier, pyramids. Khufu, Khafre, Menkaure, the pyramids, Alatak, Alalam, Mentaka, Orion's Belt, and the Sirius connection. What can we learn about the pyramids?
Well, the pyramids work. Well, first, one thing we have to know about Giza, which is what we call that city. It was a walled-in city,
Okay.
and there were close to 80 pyramids.
Mm.
That's like if you went to New York. Let's say that in the distant future there was a catastrophe that knocked down every building in New York City, in Manhattan,
Right.
except for the Empire State Building.
Mm.
It's like if future generations went to New York City and saw the Empire State Building and thought that's the only thing that was there.
Right.
Giza was a pyramid city.
Mm.
And the pyramids that were built in this reflected the stars that was in the constellation of Orion.
Mm.
The three stars that the three pyramids that we see in Khufu, Khafra, Menkaure, those relate back to Orion's belt.
Right.
But the thing about the Orion's belt, in December, in the northeastern sky, when you look up into the heavens, you look and you see those three stars.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go down left and look down, that's Sirius. So you know when we're celebrating this idea of Christmas,
Right.
the holiest day really is not December 25th.
Right.
That's a calendrical system. The most important day astronomically is December 6th, which is known as Dia de Reyes, which is in Spanish meaning the Day of the Three Kings.
Mm.
But the three kings are the three stars who are visiting the Christ child, who is Sirius, who is risen from the dead up from the sky and is risen up. And guess what the constellation that he rises up into is called? It's called the manger.
Mm.
You see, this information is here, brother. You know, it's here for us. But we have to study and we have to know.
Right.
I respect all faith systems and I respect all religions.
Right.
Don't throw away the Bible or the Torah or the Quran or any other holy book.
Right.
I don't have a problem with the holy books. My problem is in the Western perspective of the interpretation of the books.
Mm.
Because I can show you Genesis on the walls of Egypt.
Mm.
I can take you to the pyramid text, utterance 279 and 280, where it talks about Unas, who was the Pharaoh, transforming into a bull, and eating of the gods, and drinking of the blood of the gods. But in this story, it wasn't literal eating of the gods, or drinking the blood of the gods. It was when you ingest divinity, you become divinity. You ever heard it say, you are what you eat?
Right.
That's where it came from. So I can show you the Eucharist.
Mm.
I can show you the idea of all of the different ceremony that the priest in the Roman Catholic Church does up on the altar.
Mm.
That altar, that's a sarcophagus.
Mm.
When you go into the Egypt system, that's a sarcophagus. That's a sarcophagus for a Saul who has died, but it is the cradle for Heru who has risen.
Right.
So it is both a coffin and a cradle. Now, when you look at the Giza Plateau and you look at, that was a walled-in city,
Right.
with far more than the pyramids that we see today. And the three pyramids that we see, Khufu, Khafra, Menkaure, what's interesting is that they were not built to outdo each other. They talk about how the Khafra tried to outdo his father, but there's a reason why Khufu is the largest. And the reason why it's the largest was because these were very important as it relates to astronomical information.
Right.
And it also dealt with the fact that many people believe that the pyramids were nuclear power plants.
Mm.
There's a book called the Giza Power Plant
Mm.
that talks about the pyramids are as deep as they are tall. They're
Right.
481.4 feet tall, but they go over 300 feet underground.
Mm.
And the way it's structured, it looks like it's something that looks like a power plant, the way it's structured.
Mm.
The entrance to all the pyramids are on the north side. They all face the northern cardinal point. And if you were to draw, if you were to create a light that went through all of the entrances, they all would point to the North Star, which developed the concept of understanding the wobbling of the Earth and the 23 1/3 degree angle of the Earth, so that's what created the great year of 26,000 years, because they followed the Orion star all the way around. But at the same time, those three stars of the Orion belt, if you look down, like I always see in December, if you look down you look southeast into the heavens, and what you'll notice is that the three stars of Orion's belt is there, but they all come down, and if you look down to the left hand of that, you'll see the brightest star, which is Sirius. Right. That star, by January 6th, had risen up off the horizon, so it appeared that it was born again.
Mm.
And so this is why the three kings visiting the Christ child in the constellation known as the manger.
Mm.
And so that is where the astronomical story comes from as it relates to the religious story.
Right.
So it becomes important, yes, respect the religions. I respect the religions. I have a problem with the interpretation of them.
Right. Because if I'm not mistaken, from the Christianity's perspective, they're speaking on Jesus, Joseph, and Mary, correct? Whereas that originated in Kemet with Asar, Aset, and Heru.
Yes.
So it's pretty much the same story, just translated and diluted from the pyramid text and from the walls of the pyramids into the Bible of Christianity.
Exactly. And actually, if you want to go back and look, see what society has done, what Western civilization did is they took historical characters of Africa and they superimposed a religious lore or story over historical figures. Moses is Akhenaten.
And that's King Tut's father, correct?
That's King Tut's father. Some people say brother, not going to get twisted, but basically, yes. Moses is the child. Akhenaten's name was Amenhotep the Fourth.
Right.
Amenhotep the Fourth, his parents was Amenhotep the Third and Queen Tai. Historically speaking, Amenhotep the Third and Queen Tai is Solomon and Sheba. Now, Akhenaten's son, Tutankhaten, who became Tutankhamun, that is the historical person that Jesus the Christ is based on. That is why Jesus came through the line of Solomon and David and all the others, because they were all part of the same historical family of the 18th dynasty that ruled from 1570 to 1320 BC. Again, I want to be very clear because I do know and I realize that there are many people that are very much attached to the church.
Right, right.
And I respect your religion. But not at the expense of African genius.
Right.
I'm not willing. I'm willing to respect. But at the same time, the historical facts have to be respected.
Absolutely.
And so we have to be able to express our truth with respect and to understand what it is that we're talking about, because if our people understood the purity and the beauty of spirituality, they wouldn't attach themselves to religions.
Absolutely.
Because if people say to me, "You Christian?" I say, "Yeah, I'm Christian. I'm Jewish too. I'm Muslim. I'm a Buddhist, and I'm also Confucius."
Right.
You know why? Because I'm an African.
Right.
And when you're an African, you all of that.
Right.
Buddha is nothing but a corruption of the word Ptah. That's where Buddhism came from.
I love it. And so in terms of stars and the star seeds and the parallels between the pyramids and the Dogon, how important is it for our children to know this type of history in terms of them wanting to live their lives as kings and queens and gods and goddesses, or better yet, heroes? Because in the book, the children use their minds to use as superpowers for them to make a positive shift on the planet Earth, to shift it from a negative environment to a positive environment. So when we talk about the mind and the mind's eye and the third eye, how important is us to teach our children our history so they can actually use that powerful mind as a superpower?
I encourage us, while we celebrate the classical African world, the Dogon, Egypt, Ghana, Mali, Songhai, or Ouagadougou, you don't have to go back that far for classical African civilization. Our brothers and sisters, our ancestors, was a classical African civilization. The civil and human rights movement of the 60s and the 70s was a classical African civilization. Hip-hop is a classical African civilization. Sometimes we try to go back so far to grasp our greatness. And it's right in front of us right now. We are classical Africans living this civilization. And what we are doing is so profound, and our children have to understand this, because even when you go back in history and you worship or you honor everybody in the past, which you should do,
Right.
don't lose sight that that DNA is in you. You are the ascendants of that greatness. And so our children need to understand the greatness back then in order to understand the greatness of right now. And this is the work that we're doing with our children, to help them and to assist them in understanding. You have the potential to do anything that you want. You can grow into anything you want to be because you are a star seed. You are one of the ancient ones. You just happen to be the ancient one today. Just like one day you will have your ascendants look back on you and you will be an ancestor. And our children have to understand what that means in terms of history. We've been dislocated from that. There are people who wish to abuse us, and to do that they wish to oppress us. So they took our history, they took our language, they took our values, interests, and principles, superimposed their history, their language, their values, interests, and principles on us. So that whatever decision that we come to as it relates to the world that we're living in is never going to be in our best interest, because our deciding factors are not in our best interest. They're in someone else's best interest. So we have to get, as Dr. Theophilus Benga tells us, is a sense of a cultural common sense to return back to where we were in order to go where we need to go. It's like a slingshot. It's like a slingshot that you put a projectile in and you pull it back. This is what starseeds is. The idea of propelling that in the front, the further back you go, the further forward you'll go. The same thing is with the mind. Your mind is put in this slingshot, which is life. And the further back you go into your past, the further in the future you can project yourself. So it's important for us to know the past, but only so we can do something in the present
to prepare for the future.
Exactly. The future. Everything we do for the future. In the present, understanding the past. See, prophets are not psychics. They're just good historians. Because when you know what happened in the past, you can interpret the present. When you can interpret the present, you can predict the future. And people look at you when things turn out the way you said, they say, how did you know? There wasn't nothing psychic. I just know history.
What is the mathematic correlation to the eye of Heru? Based off of the eye of Heru, the symbol, how is it broken down mathematically?
Well, the idea is, and again, the eye of Heru was described as the fraction. Because when you look at the eye of Heru, it's the battle between Set and Heru, the uncle and the son. And he plucks Heru's eye out, falls on the ground, and it shatters. It's a fraction. One part of it equals 1/2, 1/4, 1/8, 1/16, 1/32, and 1/64. And the riddle that Tehuti, the patron of wisdom, gives to Heru is, if you can join all to become one, then I'll not only give you your sight back, but I'll give you insight. And you'd have to see it, because there's something that falls underneath the eye, which is equal to 1/64. And Tehuti says the answer is in front of you all the time. And when you add up all the fractions, it comes to 1/63. And so what is it that you add in order to make one? It's 1/64. But the value of 1/64 is the number one that's sitting right in front of you. That's what Tehuti meant when he said the answer isn't right in front of you. And that's what I tell the audience all the time. The answer is in front of you. You don't have to go outside to find anything. Everything you need to know is within you. The person that needs a Messiah, when you don't realize that Jesus saves those who save themselves. The only person that can save you is you. Nobody can save you. Only you can save you. And I know many people talk about leading the horse to water. Oh man, you can lead the horse to water, but you can't make him drink. That's true. But before you even set out on taking him to the water, you need to make the horse realize that the horse is thirsty. Our people don't realize that they're thirsty.
Right.
They know something wrong, but they don't know that they're thirsty.
Right.
Because if you let them realize that they're thirsty, they're going to tell you, hey man, hop on my back, we going to get some water. You wouldn't have to lead them to the water, they'd take you to the water.
Right. Wow.
And so that's what this information is for our children. Let our children understand, this is what can happen, this is what this will do for you.
Right.
What is it? What are your dreams? What are your aspirations? What are your passions?
Right.
What do you want in life? Why do you think you're here? You know, that's why I used to always ask you, why are you here? Why do you think you're here? What's your purpose?
Right.
You've been given a purpose. And it doesn't make a difference if someone else does the same thing you do, like two rappers.
Right.
You ain't gonna rap the same.
Never.
Okay? You do you, let them do you, and don't be jealous, don't be envious. If you make shoes, someone else makes shoe, no one gonna make shoe like you make shoe.
Right. Right.
If you work on the computer, someone else you're not gonna do it the same.
Right.
What's your divine gift? What have you been given? What's your twist? What's your flavor? And out of that, you become who you were born to be. But you can't do that if you don't know who you are. And our children are in a world where the person that they say that they are is not who they are. And then the people they put in front of the children to make the children think that's who they are is not who they are.
Right.
And so Starseed allows children to see a world where they can go in and see themselves in control.
Mm.
They can see themselves doing those things where they are reckoning their own destiny.
Right.
And that is why the book needs to be in our schools.
Mm.
That is why that type of book, Starseed, needs to be so that our children can understand who they are, what their potential is, and the question becomes, what you gonna do?
I think that's a perfect way to wrap it up, because that's exactly what the book was based off of. That's what the whole idea, the whole concept, the whole vision for the book was, to not only show our children our rich, vast history, our rich, vast wealth of knowledge and wisdom and information that we already have shown historically. We've talked about thousands of years of historical evidence that you have already clearly defined that we have. And for our children to be able to see this and to read this and to experience this, I think the ultimate goal is to open up that eye of Heru, that hero within each child, you know,
Absolutely.
who takes the opportunity to read the books.
And here it is, Starseed.
The children of the ancients.
Put it in your home. Make sure that your children's school has it. Get class copies of them. Our children are going to learn how to read. Let them learn how to read Starseed.
Tribe, that's it right there, man. So that was the interview that I've been talking about, sharing with y'all for a minute now. I'm about to go ahead and get that thing edited up today. That family, I definitely appreciate everybody who came out this weekend, because I had to unplug over the last couple weeks, but I want to make sure that we get back in the seat and make it do what it do with the tribe, man. So I definitely look forward to seeing y'all. Go ahead and sign out. So thank you all for coming out. Y'all showed up and showed love as always. So I definitely appreciate y'all. Appreciate the love and support. Family, we out. Peace. Odabo.
ẹni tó gbàgbé ilé ṣàpò ìyàgbọ́ tẹ́ǹtì ẹni takísà ní tàtàn ò bá padà sílé anítìjàkọ ẹja lọ pé eégún mo sí ẹni gbẹ́rẹ́ ìpàkọ́ forsake not your ancestors and praise your